Good afternoon. My name is Ms. Sorbara, and this is Algebra 1 plus Study Skills, second and fourth periods for I see I need to get out my red pen and change that to the 2021 school year. It is what it is. So let's talk a little bit about it. My feelings about math are this. Um, my biggest job as a math teacher, especially an Algebra 1 teacher, is to overcome the hatred and fear of math. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And as long as we get over the fear and hatred of it, then we're going to be okay. And the way we do that is we give it a real context. We understand that we're surrounded by it. We find processes that work for us as individuals. Um, in math, there's generally one good answer for a problem, but there's almost always several ways of getting there. And I would like to help your students apply their critical thinking skills in finding the pathway that works for them, the reasoning process that works for them, so that they can make sense of it and not be fearful of it or hate it. Through the process of this school year, your students will be doing some design challenges. We don't do them all the time, we just do them every once in a while, and we're doing them through distance learning. Your students already should have done one. They created their own personal place to exist and had some pretty clever solutions for it. We're going to be together building a city. A city is a great analogy to just about everything. And we're going to figure it out and do it in groups and have each student contributing to it. And we're going to make have some fun with it. What happens then is we have a real context for your student to start using and applying and putting that math into a real context and problem solving. They also work on communication, collaboration, and presentation skills. Every student has already done one presentation and they did a great job. So you'll see more of that coming along. So if your student is saying, yes, I have to build something for math, it's true. They really do. The units of study in Algebra 1 there's just 5 of them. And these are the overall, that doesn't mean that's how many chapters are in the book. There are more chapters in the book because they break down these units of study, but these are the broad categories: relationships between quantities and reasoning with equations, linear and exponential relationships, descriptive statistics, expressions and equations, and then there's quadratic functions and modeling. The first 3 generally units are done in the first semester because the last 2 are pretty intense and usually take up most of the second semester, roughly. There's overlap in there somewhat. The resources are the textbook. This is probably the most important resource, and that is the student journal. We do all of our note-taking in there. We also do a lot of practice work in there. I have them do practice work outside of the student journal in some cases. In a lot of cases, we do almost all of it in the student journal. They also probably should have a notebook where they can, do other assignments, do other notes, things that they need to know. We use Khan Academy because there are times when maybe the textbook has a limited way of granting access to the information, whereas Khan Academy is just another way of looking at it. If you've never seen a Khan Academy video, I strongly suggest you sit down with your student and watch a couple because they're awesome. They're brief, they're very straightforward, he's very easy to listen to. And then there's practice exercises that go with each of the concepts. So there are times when there's maybe like a whole concept, a whole section of work that I may assign to Khan Academy because I think it does, it's more accessible and easier to understand, okay? We also use a tool called Desmos. Desmos is mostly, it's basically a graphing calculator, but you can set up assignments in it to where students go through and investigate and experiment with it. I also put down as a resource tutorial. Tutorial is a block of time where your students can come in and just, ask a specific question, get help with homework, classwork, um, you know, just ask about something or work through a problem. Um, this particular class is a double period. We have second and fourth period. So the way the schedule is right now, especially, I see your students every single day. So there really should be no time at which they're missing any work or falling behind because I have so many opportunities to kind of keep on them. We're kind of, we're at the very beginning stages and we're just kind of beginning to navigate. But I believe when I looked at my grades this morning, this was one class where I did not have a single missing assignment, and that's great. That's the way it should be. Um, and hopefully the students are getting comfortable with this. I try to make the fourth period class, the second block, purely a working block, whether it's finishing up the math work. I also like to give them an opportunity to work on classwork from other classes. Fridays, we generally kind of check in and we talk to each other, and I check grades for their other classes. So this is kind of a combination of an Algebra 1 class, and we also call it study skills. Um, I ask the students that for the fourth period that they keep a log of the work that they are doing, whether it's for Algebra 1 or for some other classwork. And that log, that keeping track of it, is an organizational skill, and it's going to be the basis for a very large part of this kind of separate little study skills class. So I encourage you to ask your student to see their fourth period log, and if it's blank, um, you might ask them what's going on. It's a great opportunity for them to have extra time for this class and for other classes. So I hope they take advantage of that. And that's how we kind of keep track of it, is through that log. So materials, besides the resources, I kind of consider the student journal to be a material because it is so important. They should probably also have a single subject or graph paper notebook. I will be asking them to do some graphing by hand, if you can imagine that, with a ruler and graph paper. I say they need a calculator, but don't go running to Staples and pay $30 for one, because they have a wonderful calculator. Most of them have a wonderful calculator right on their cell phones. And the program Desmos, this one, desmos.com, that is a graphing calculator, and it also has calculator in it. So don't buy a calculator, you have one. I also encourage colored pencils because it is really good for the note taking in the student journal. And colored pencils, not pens. The student journal paper is very thin and pens go right through it. So I encourage the colored pencils because then they can do color coding and better organized notes. And you can see that this presentation, I'm able to actually have copies of the student journal, and I actually make notes, and I will use different colors, to show them different ideas and whatnot. So I really encourage the use of colored pencils for the note taking. All right, our grading policy is that assessments and projects are 50% of the grade. Classwork and homework, especially now, but even when we are on campus, there's the line between classwork and homework is extremely blurred, because I like to do most of the heavy work in class when we're together and we can help each other. So the whole thing is all bunched together, and it is 30% of your student's grade. The challenges, the design challenges that we do, are going to be 10%. Citizenship and participation, here's what that is. Citizenship and participation is their contribution to group projects. It is their contribution to class. It is responding when asked. It's working well with others. It's communicating. It's all of those things. It's being ready. It's being on time. It's basically being a good citizen and classmate. Class notes and communication, everything is posted in Google Classroom. If you want to know what's going on with your student in Algebra 1, ask your student to open up Google Classroom and show you Algebra 1. Every day at the end of class, I'm actually developing a really good habit, and that is that every day at the end of class, I recap what we talked about. I post what work needs to be done and, add whatever notes need to be added. We also use a tool called Remind. Remind is um, like texting. I receive it. It looks just like a text message. Your student sends it. Looks just like a text message, but it is a contained program just for school, and we're set up in classes. So only the students in my class can communicate with me. They're not communicating with anybody outside of that class. So it's very narrow in its use, but it's a wonderful way for. It's better than email in that I don't check my emails nearly as often as I would check a text message. It comes right to my phone and I can see it. And so if the student needs something, I can usually respond pretty quickly. Hopefully you are all on Parent Portal. If not, I strongly recommend getting on Parent Portal. You can keep track of grades. You can keep track of if there's, missing assignments. Great way to keep on top of what's going on overall. Progress reports come out every 6 weeks. So we have a 6-week progress report, a 12-week progress report, and then we have the semester grades. That is my email, jsorbara@wvusd.org. If you have any questions or comments or just want to say hi, send me an email. And that is all. I hope you enjoy the rest of this very strange back to school night. Hopefully, next time we have one, we'll all be in the same room like we usually are. Thank you very much.